Hello, Eco Gypsy. A question I keep getting asked on the comments is, how do I earn my living, and what do I do for a living? So the truth is, for a long time I was in the tattoo trade. When I was a young man, I like most travellers, I've done a bit of everything. I've done scrap metal, I've done field work, I've done tree work. So I can turn my hand to most things. But for 25 years I was in the tattoo trade and I ran my own business. Quite enjoyed that for a long time. And alternatively, at the same time I was doing that, I also ran this business, which I do now. And it was a bit of a sideline at the time and something I enjoyed doing because my family done it. I'm going to take you to work today. I'm going to show you what I do now and why. I'll explain why it was important for me when I was tattooing to have another thing to do. A little way, they call them side hustles now, but it was just another way of earning money and you know, part of my heritage, I suppose. So a little bit of background. Driftwood Reclaim's been running, like I say, 30 years in different locations, and we've done slightly different things. So this little yard is a couple of miles away from where I live, and we're running sort of hand in hand with the builders merchants. So there's a builders merchants over that side of the yard, Sutton Reclaim, and then we rent this side of the yard. And I came here originally because this building was one of the original buildings on site, and it's quite an old building, built out of bomb damaged materials from the old man who used to run the place back in the day. And we basically refurbed it, reclad it, put a new roof on, and then ended up here renting the place. So this is pre-COVID. So I'll walk you around. We've got obviously this outside space here, and this is my garden section. So this is for all your gardening needs, all the old tools, shovels, spades, and all the galvanised and all the stuff that you put your plants and pots and bits and pieces in. We've got a bit of miscellaneous reclaim out in the yard, and this all depends on what comes and what I can buy. I tend to not have credit. I've never had any credit in my life, so I buy what I can afford and try and resell it and make a little bit of money. So we've got a few bits outside here. I'll get a chance, I'll walk you around and show you the more interesting things. And then we've got two covered areas here. This is my wood burner section. So we've got all the stuff you need for your solid fuel. We've got grates, we've got some nice wood burners, pretty little stoves, all sorts of bits and pieces. And then we go into what I call the old man's shed. You can see the little sign up there. This has got a few hand tools in, vices, hammers, chisels, and a lot of fixtures and fittings. So all the stuff you'd find in your granddad's shed, bits and pieces for gates, gloves, locks, handles, etc, etc. Oh, mind my head. And yeah, it's funny how people come in here and get nostalgic and go, oh God, I can remember this when I was a kid, and I can remember that when I was a kid. And you hear a lot of these sort of comments, even stuff like this, like these little boxes of toys. We sell these quite often. So a bit of outside space here, and then we take you into the main showroom. It all sounds very posh, doesn't it? So there's a bit of inside space here, and a bit of lighting. What else is in here? Oh, there's a bench there that Chris Hill painted, who's a friend of mine who painted my bed. If anyone's watched some of the previous videos, they'd have seen some of his paint work. back in the day, Chris Hill was the man. He was the man that everyone wanted to be, and he was the man who painted all the best stuff and all the best wagons. So this is one of the benches he's done for me a long time ago. So what else is in here? We do a bit of everything, really. As the years have evolved and the business has evolved, it's a different trade now. The days where you could specify one thing and maybe, well, you used to do a lot of fireplaces and sort of stuff, refurb stuff. That market isn't as strong now, so you have to do a bit of everything. So we've got a bit of this in here, and the old stoves and stuff. I used to make my living out of these, but a few pots. And then we've got the secondary area, which is cabinets. So we have people putting stuff in the cabinets, and you've got a lot of this sort of stuff, a lot of smalls, bits and pieces. Now this sounds, I don't know, might sound a bit weird to people, but as you get older, or as I've got older, I've got more into history, my roots, my background, and just taking a bit more notice of, I don't know, your heritage, your family, and just trying to basically, you know, understand. I've always said, if you want to know where you're going, you've got to know where you come from. So it's this is part of that. So, oh, I've got a customer. 1 second. So I'm back. I'll take you out the back. So we've got a little covered area at the back here as well, where we do a number of different things. We do a few bits and pieces, even these little bottles and stuff like this. None of this is big money stuff, but they do sell and people do find them quite interesting. There's all stories with all this stuff. These are hot water bottles that people used to have back in the day, and they used to fill them up with hot water and put them in the bed. We've got a lot of the doors, old doors, a bit of old timber here, floorboards, and a few of the beams. People use these to go back over the fireplaces when they're refurbing the old houses. So some of these are quite nice, and some of this stuff, I mean, these particular beams here, there's some here and there's some laid down there, and they're over 200 years old. They come out of a property fairly close to here where they had a big fire, as you can see. There's still the fire damage on them there, and yeah, very, very old. And these come up really lovely when I had a bit of time spent on them. A bit of hardwood there. And these are nice old school doors from a partition from a school. So all this stuff, like I say, it's come to me through, I buy and sell stuff, I trade up, and Norfolk's a funny place for, you can trade here. There's a lot of the old boys don't want to give you money, but they're quite happy to trade you stock. So they'll come in and they'll bring stuff for me, and they'll take stuff that I've got, and etc, etc. So we do a bit of horse trading here. We buy a bit of gear, and I do quite often get stuff given to me and donated to me, which is quite pleasant, and people like the fact that I'm giving things a second chance. So I'll take you into my office. This is the high end of the business. This is where all the real top deals get done. So here we are. I say I'm only here 3 days a week, so I do Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays in here, and I really enjoy it. You know, it's a social for me. People come in to see me, we have a cup of tea and we have a little chat, put the worlds to rights, and you have like it used to be in my granddad's day, I suppose. Really, I'm one of these people, I think I should have been born a long time ago, when things were a bit more simple, and it's nice to go back to them simple values and just do basics of how things used to be. You know, people would come in, you'd have a bit of a deal and a bit of a chitter chatterer, and you can, sounds a bit ignorant I suppose, but you can kind of forget what's going on in the wider world when you live this sort of life. This is how and why I live how I live. We're off grid, we live in our little railway carriage on our own bit of ground, we're out of the way. I don't go round causing mayhem and hassle anymore, and it's just a nice quiet wholesome life, you know, positive people around you and good things happening, and that's what you want. That's what I want. As I've got older, I crave that more and more now. I'm not into particularly, you know, setting the world on fire. I just want to be happy, content, and earn a few quid. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try and find a couple of customers that want to talk on camera, and they can give you their view of the business, and yeah, or maybe pick out some items that have got a bit of history to them. I think this may be a very selective video. I think the demographic might be quite narrow on this one. This is an interesting item. This is an old pub sign from a brewery in Ipswich, Tullycobble Brewery. This is their main pub sign, and so this sat up on a big old post in the yard advertising their business. Unfortunately I haven't got the sign to go with it, but we've got the frame, and that's a pretty amazing piece of work. I mean, the modern equivalent to this, you'd struggle to find people who's got that, who would put the amount of work into wrought ironwork like that's got on it. And again, it's probably over 100 years old. It's sat here for a while waiting for a new home, but I quite like having stuff like this laid about. I know it's not particularly good for business, but sometimes it's nice to have these bits. I don't mind looking at them. Oh, they've got something to say. I'll show you something else. These are nice set of wheels. They came in the other day from another dealer who I do a bit of business with. These must be off an old, I would say, an old trolley or something, probably again over 100 years old. And to a lot of people, I just look at that and wouldn't even have a thought about it. I find it fascinating that the metal and how well they've been done and the weight of them, you just wouldn't get anything the equivalent to that in a modern world. And there's a lot of these bits of fluting on here, you wouldn't get that on a modern wheel. They just wouldn't put that in there. So there's a lot of care and attention. This Victorian stuff, that Victorian era, was just amazing. I think as you'll never recreate that. So these will go off. I've got a couple of guys who do stationary engines, and they'll probably reuse them and put them on a good little trolley, or maybe a shepherd's hut or something like that. I have got a little bit of a fetish for fans. I don't know what it is, but this is a big old one, come out of a factory. I do sell a lot of fans, and reason being, I think people like the movement. They like that in the garden, swishing about, and this gets up to some good speed when you get the right wind. So nice bit of moving, and I think they call this garden art nowadays. Like I say to the customers, I buy crap and sell top end antiques. So that's that. This is quite nice. This is a big old boat winch from a local boat yard. So I used to hand winch the boats out with this. Again, this has got a bit of age to it. I should think that's probably 80-90 years old. This was destined for the scrapyard, and I just thought it's got a real look to it. The paint and the patina on it's really nice. It's a real statement piece. If you had a little marina or something, you ought to plonk that outside. But stuff like that, to me, it's too good just to go in the scrap bin. It's a real nice piece. That is something that's got you. Again, you'll never find some of this stuff. Some of it probably people have seen a lot before, but other things you won't ever see again. When we get the chance, we also do a few things like this. We've actually done a previous video on these, making these little hay stores, little animal hay stores out of the IBCs. Just another use for them. I do sell a lot of those as well, but Handy if you've got some sheep. Me and my boy made these. He came up with the idea. We sold a few of them. So I say, everything here's had a previous life, like we all have in life, and it's nice to be able to reuse it, rehome it. People come in here and buy stuff, and they then put their little twist on it as well. So I have a lot of people who do a bit of hobbying and craft work, and I don't know, little sort of collectors. So that there's stuff here for everyone. There's a set of cartwheels there. And yeah, it's not a high-end big turnover business. It's not a business that's actually gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be a millionaire doing this, but it's something, like I say, I enjoy, and I get a bit of social out of it, and sometimes even a living out of it. Right, cup of tea time. These are quite interesting. Came in and a load of stuff the other day. They're just Hessian sacks, but they're for nuts. So when they used to export nuts, and obviously fill them up and bring them over. But these have got some age to them, but I love the graphics on there are mega, and they're really good condition considering the age of them. So there's a whole box of them. Stuff like that fascinates me, and I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but again, it's part of my heritage, I suppose. I've been around this stuff for all my life. When I was a young man, I wasn't interested. Oh well, so much anyway. Now I've got older, I just see the value in it, and I can see the workmanship, and I can see, you know, the point of interest there, really. No, you're not live. You are. Yeah, just see, people go funny when you stick a camera in their face. Yes. Like. So this is Alex. This is one of my best customers. I tell all the customers they're the best ones. This is one of the top customers of the shop. Our biggest spender, multi-millionaire, comes here just to keep himself grounded with the working class. And so I was just telling the camera, or the YouTube land, about the importance of this shop for the heritage and for the fact that people come here and enjoy the process.
Yes, well, we do.
I'm gonna be serious. No, I am being serious, obviously.
Yeah, the thing I love about it as well is there's always a story behind a lot of things, and particularly Auntie or Ruben will know, you know, where the things came from, and you know what happened on the way to getting it here. And I also find out about the things that got broken.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. Yeah,
it's not always so good at getting them on the truck.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I love about it, is actually knowing that somebody knows the history about it. And we by coming here, we've met a lot of people that we know from our childhood that we wouldn't have even really remembered, because we would always holiday in Norfolk. And yeah, so it's a real link to the past in lots of ways. And we do spend quite a bit of money, but also I know what Ruben wants and I bring stuff, so we always do a bit of a barter. Well,
I'm just saying that Norfolk's quite a hard place to earn money, but we do a lot of horse trading here, so there's a bit of that. And I was also saying previously that a lot of people get the process, so they enjoy the fact that a lot of this stuff's had a previous life.
Yeah.
And then you've bought a lot of stuff that you've incorporated into where you live.
Definitely.
You just had a real bargain here. I'll show you. I'll quickly show you this. So this is, Alex has just bought this. Look at that piece of fantastic boat art, which is going to be an outside light in where he lives. So that'll get a refurb, won't it?
No, it will do. And like I said, it just came at the right time. I didn't know I needed it until I got here. This is the shop, but everyone says that. And look at that. I need this. There you go. Perfect. And I'm going to get a really good price on this.
You definitely are. Yeah. That's all good. So right there. So there you go. There's one of our fantastic customers who's willing to go on camera. A lot of them have just dodged their head and ran away as soon as I poked the camera in the face. So,
well, I pay my VAT.
Good man. Good man. Thank you, Alex. Cheers.
Bye.
Well, that was Alex. Bless him. He's one of my regular customers. He's not a millionaire, but he's a sound guy, and I really appreciate him going on camera, because not everyone likes having a camera poked in their face. especially round here. So that was very good of him. Anyway, we've had a fairly busy day, so I'm going to lock up now, and I've earned enough money so I can get a pint. So that's all good. I hope it's give people a little bit of an insight into what we're doing here and what I do anyway to earn a living, and I hope people have found it vaguely interesting. So thank you ever so much to the new subscribers. We've got a lot of new subscribers recently, and the channel's just started to take off a little bit, which is really, really good. It means a lot to me, because I've said before millions of times that, you know, I do the videos myself. I ain't got some sort of editing crew or anything, so I'm trying to find stuff that people find interesting and what I find interesting, and just post it up there. So it's nice to get a positive response. But nice one. Take care. We'll see you on the next video, and yeah, till next time.